Let's give thunderous applause and welcome our final storyteller, Patrick Cleary, to the stage.
So in the 1980s, if you wanted to hook up and you didn't want to go to a bar, you could either write a personal ad and leave it in the Boston Phoenix, or you could do this new technology, which was called a party line. Now, a party line, for those of you who are too young to know about this, was sort of like a conference call filled with strangers who wanted to have sex, but not with you. And you would call up and you would be dropped into this pool of people, most of whom weren't even talking at the beginning. They were just like, hi, hey, who's here, what's up? And nobody would actually speak, but if you found a connection with someone, you could go private. You would press the 0 button on your touch-tone phone, and a moderator would come on and say, who wants to go private? And then you go into a room in this conference call, and you could speak privately with someone and arrange to hook up or do whatever. Now, the reason I know about all of this is because I was one of those moderators. No. Not those kind of operators. They walked a little bit down the hall. We were strictly to connect people with other people, not with ourselves. And I worked on one called 550-6969. That was, they called it a line for gentlemen only. Which is sort of like when you worked in the adult bookstore and they had the male-only section, as if the women showed up and decided not to participate, so the men were like, okay. So our jobs as moderators were to put people into private and also make sure that all the rules were followed. We didn't have any non-adults in the room. Nobody was talking about anything illegal, but also to keep everybody talking, because the longer they talked, the more we could charge them. They were charged by the minute. And as soon as they went private, they would either connect with each other and go off, or they would exchange phone numbers so that they wouldn't have to pay to speak with one another or finish up whatever they had started on the phone call. You know, back in the 80s, you could cradle the phone in here, and then you had both hands free. So whatever you wanted to do. So we all had different personas. We weren't allowed to use our real names because there were stalkers who would actually try to find you and follow you. And you could be flirty, but you couldn't flirt. So I called myself Cody, and I'd be like, hey guys, how you doing? And it didn't really go very well. But the person who was really fantastic at this was my boss, and her name was Karen. And Karen was a mother from Waltham, but she had this voice that was kind of like between Jennifer Tilly and Kathleen Turner, kind of rough, but kind of nasal at the same time. And she used to just get on and she would tell these sort of body kind of like borscht belt things. She'd be like, hey guys, it's getting really boring here. And my doctor just told me that I had to stop drinking my calories. So I've been freezing my martinis so I can chew them. And they just ate that up. Now, you may have noticed that I always imitate Karen when I talk about Karen, and that's because I discovered that my little gay boy voice sounded exactly like Karen when I was on my headset. And so it started out where I would just tell stories that Karen had told. I would be like, oh my God, Karen, she just had the worst time. Her kids, she got a pack and play, but she didn't realize it was the floor and not the ceiling, and she had them in a cage for 6 hours. And people thought that was funny, but some of the regulars on the line thought that I was Karen. And my stats went way up. People were staying on the phone longer when I wasn't myself. I was being Karen. This was the night shift, so I was bored out of my mind. And so I would just get on the phone and I would be like, hey guys, it's getting really boring. Who wants to talk to Karen? And we would just have a hell of a time. The whole shift would just go by and everything. So I'm in the middle of a story one night, and I'm, my husband, he just doesn't understand me, and you guys know how that is. And all of a sudden, I hear this other voice come on, and I hear, Cody. I went, oh no, perhaps you'll want to speak to me in my office. at the end of your shift. And all of a sudden, everybody in the room realized what had happened, and the gay oxygen masks all dropped, So, fantastic. So I go in, and at the end of my shift, and I'm nervous as all hell, and she's like, well, Patrick, I find you very amusing, but remember, in these premises, there's only one Karen, and that's Karen. I said, no, I totally understand. I'm sorry. It started out as a joke. My stats were going up. And she's like, no. Remember, from now on, the only one to be Karen is Karen. So I was really, really good. I did not imitate her that night. But several nights later, I was recounting that tale. And I said, remember, from now on, the only one to be Karen is Karen. And of course, Karen was listening. And that's the first job I ever got fired from. Thank you.